Okay.
Good evening and welcome to Country Roads Crafts. My name is Frank and I am here tonight to talk to y'all a little bit about milk paint. Doing some milk paint, a little bit different than our normal mineral paint that we use. But this is milk paint. And so tonight I'm going to paint this nifty little tray, a pretty color, and then later Holly's going to decoupage it once it dries. And then also I'm going to paint a ladybug house. It's not finished yet. I have to put some saw chips in, wood chips, and a screen on the front. But I want to paint it before I do all that so I don't get the stuff all over it. So these are the two things I'm going to paint tonight. And I have all of these milk paints to choose from down here in front of me. One of the reasons why I like it so much is that you can have such a difference, a variety of finishes when you do your milk paints. You can actually paint it. I don't have any examples of it, but you can paint with milk paint to get a pretty nice satiny finish like you would expect with a chalk paint, something like that. You can also get a kind of a clumpy finish, makes it a little bit older looking. You can do what's called a wash. You can paint undertones and then come back with a lighter color over top of it. And for doing this, you would mix that over color, the wash color, a little bit wetter than it's recommended, and that would allow it to let some of the under color show through. So that's one way to do it. This is actually mixed a little heavy, and you can enhance this effect, this crinkled effect, using a heat gun to heat it up and make it dry faster. And being thicker than normal, then it'll crack up real good for you. This is a good example of that cracked finish that we have here. And on this one, what I've done is I've taken 3 different types of glazes or waxes and put on top of it. And you can see, especially here in the center, where that copper wax got caught in the cracks. And it showed it really well. It shows up really well. You can do that with the antiquing glaze. You can do it with the white wax. You can do it with a black wax if you have a lighter color. So a lot of possibilities there for how you want it to look. You can take a brand new piece of furniture and make it look 100 years old. So anyway. Tonight I'm going to paint this. This will be the first piece I paint. But before I start painting, I'm going to get rid of this sticker on the bottom, because there is a sticker on the bottom. We just bought it. And I can sit there and try to peel it off and try to get most of it and still leave some gum and residue. And if I did that, I would probably have to come back with some kind of a mineral spirits or a solvent that we have from Fusion to get rid of it. But there's an easier way to do that. And that's with a heat gun. I've showed this before, but I'm going to show it again just because it makes it really easy. I'm going to heat that sticker up, get it nice and hot, and I'm going to take my putty knife and I'm just going to take it right off of there. And when you do that, when you're done, no sticker, no fuss, no muss. And so now I'm ready to paint. And so I need to be ready. I need to pick out what kind of paint I want to use. I've already said we're using milk paint. Obviously I'm going to use Fusion milk paint. And so what I think I'm going to use for this one is the Gotham Gray.
Hold it up. Hold it up.
Gotham Gray. Milk paint comes in these little bags that are nothing but powder. And so you have to mix your own. That's one way to get those effects that I was talking about earlier, is you mix your own paint. And since you're mixing it, you can make it your own consistency, whatever consistency you desire. So grab you a cup, grab you a scoop, and I'm going to tell you, measuring is important to this, contrary to what my wife says on this. You do want to measure, because the only way to get consistent results is to have a consistent mix. So if you think you may not mix up enough paint the first time, you want to make sure that you're measuring to know how much you're putting into this. If you think you want to go back and touch it up or do another piece to match or what have you, then you want to have a set mixture. And I'm notoriously messy, so I get it everywhere. But so start off with, I'm going to do 1 scoop of this, and I'm going to add in the equal amount of water. So I have my scoop. I'm going to grab some nice water here. Doesn't matter what kind of water you use. There is no special water that's needed. Just you can be straight out of the tap if you wanted to.
They suggest this deal.
I think the manufacturers actually suggest distilled water, but I'm gonna tell you, from my experience, it doesn't really matter. Your mileage may vary, I guess. All right, so I have my water, I have my powder, and I'm just gonna mix it up. And as I look at that, I know that's not gonna be enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and add one more scoop and one more thing of water to give me some more mileage here on this.
Can you try scoop?
No, I'll take this. My lovely wife in the background trying to be supportive and helpful. So one more scoop of this. These bags come in two different sizes through us. We have these 50 gram or 1.7 ounces, and then also 330 grams or 11.5 ounces. It is manufactured in Canada. That's one reason why a lot of it is you're going to find in grams or ounces or whatever. It takes a little bit of getting used to. For a lot of us American folk who like the standard measurements, the imperial measurements. So, alright, this is going to be good. Now, milk paint is one of the oldest types of paint known to man. It's actually what some of the cave art was done with. Cave paintings was done with a type of milk paint, probably not fusion milk paint, but a type of milk paint. And it's just been handed down and changed a little bit throughout the year and improved upon. And now we have this right here. So, it is made with milk enzymes, which is kind of important to keep in mind. It goes on and it dries well, no problem, and it doesn't spoil once it's dried. However, if you were to leave this cup as it is, sitting out overnight, or for a couple days perhaps, it will spoil in the cup and you would smell it just like spoiled milk. Okay, so we're going to paint this up here. I'm going to take a tack rag.
The cup, I was just going to show. Oh, no.
And just clean up a little bit here. Not that the powder would hurt anything, but there's a little bit of other stuff in here as well. Just want to get all that off, and we're good. And so, this is the typical 1-to-1 mix. If you want it a little chunkier, if you want it to have that chunky, cracky finish, then you would want to mix it about 1.5 to 2 parts of paint to 1 part water. And if you're trying to do the wash, like I was talking about that my wife likes to do, then you would mix it up with 1 part of the paint powder and 2 parts water. And you just kind of adjust that and vary it up there until you get the thickness of the paint the way you want it to be. And actually, if you're mixing up a lot of it to do a bigger piece of furniture, you actually may want to use a power mixer, a blender, like a little handheld milkshake blenders for making a smoothie or something. You may want to use one of those to help you get a nice even mix. If you're not too concerned about having such a smooth finish, then the clumps actually might not bother you at all. And if you're going for the clumpy feel or the clumpy look, then absolutely the clumps aren't going to do anything but help you with that look, so then it doesn't really matter. So, and I am by no means a professional painter. In fact, one of the things that I've been in construction off and on much of my life as a Marine and in the civilian world as well. And there are a few things in this world that I hate more than painting. And the only one I can really think of is probably accounting and plumbing. Or I should say math in general. Nobel Peace Prize in Mathematics was never in the cards for me. I'm using a handy dandy chip brush. These things are relatively inexpensive. You can find them in various places. Actually, Fusion sells some that has the Fusion name on them, but you can find them in other places as well. And I ain't trying to cut my throat on Fusion products, but not everybody has access to a place where you can buy a lot of Fusion products. So it depends on what you're trying to do. You can actually find these in other places as well. When you're doing something like this, for me, these types of projects, one of the reasons why I hate painting is I hate cleaning up the brushes, and these little cheap chip brushes makes that easy, because I can throw it away instead of having to clean it up. So we're in eastern North Carolina, where the weather is inconsistent, always. I think tonight it's down in the 30s. A couple days ago, the low was in the 60s at night, with highs in the 70s, almost 80 degrees the other day. And now we're battling the cold weather, which we should be battling. It's winter time, right? But here in the humidity next to the beach, we're only about 6 miles from Topsail Beach, the humidity can make this cold really just kind of sink into your body, and to me that's not a lot of fun. In my advanced years and rheumatism and all that neat stuff going on in my joints, as my grandma would say. How about them Mountaineers, huh? And I have no idea if they've won or lost lately because I don't follow sports, but you know, being from West Virginia, you gotta root for the Mountaineers. You just have to. None of my family, immediate family anyway, has attended WVU. We all attended a college here in North Carolina because that's where we have spent the last nearly 30 years, 25 years at least. It's here at Eastern North Carolina. Thanks to Uncle Sam and the Marine Corps. We got down here just in time for Hurricane Bertha, followed up closely by Hurricane Fran. We've been through several of them since then. It was a nice welcome aboard to my wife, who was straight out of West Virginia at that time. And I got her through the first two hurricanes, and I deployed. After here by herself, with a young baby, about 6 months old. 9 months old at the time I deployed, I guess. But I deployed again right after my son was born. I left her with two babies at that point. One about 2 and one about 4 months. And she survived it. So did I. Alright. So, that is going to do, I believe. One of the problems with milk paint, that I have found anyway, and by no means am I an expert, is that especially if you don't get a great mix on it, it will tend to, the waterier parts of it, especially in certain parts of the batch that you're mixing from, or that you're getting your paint from, will tend to run a little bit. And so I like to go back and just kind of brush it a little bit just to make sure the paint's evened out. It is milk paint. It doesn't necessarily self-level that well, depending on how you mix it. So it's important to go back and check all that. And with that being said, I think I'm good on this one. Cool. Now it'll dry and my wife can decoupage it.